The bouquet slipped from her hands and scattered across the platform. Yellow petals crushed under hurried shoes. Coins rolled toward the train tracks, and the old woman dropped to her knees, scrambling, apologizing to no one in particular. "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." No one stopped. The train horn blared. Commuters rushed past like she wasn't even there. Then, a man in an expensive coat froze mid-step. He stared at the woman, at the flowers, at her trembling hands, and suddenly his chest tightened in a way money had never fixed, because he knew her, and she had no idea who he was. That moment, right there on the cold station floor, was when everything came back. But no one watching would have guessed that the most powerful person on that platform had once stood exactly where she was now, and that one small act of kindness, decades ago, was about to be repaid in a way neither of them could have imagined. 40 years earlier, the station looked very different. No digital boards, no polished floors, just concrete, steel, and the smell of rain and oil. And a 17-year-old boy sitting on a bench with a single backpack and nowhere to go. His name was Daniel Mercer. He hadn't slept in 2 days. His father had died suddenly. His mother followed months later. The house was gone. The relatives stopped answering calls. And that morning, Daniel had arrived at the station with $20, a train ticket he didn't know how to use, and fear he didn't know how to hide. He sat there pretending to read the schedule board, because looking lost felt dangerous. That was when the old woman approached him. She wasn't old back then, maybe late 40s, hair tied back neatly, a basket of flowers hanging from her arm. "Long wait?" she asked gently. Daniel flinched. "Just early," he lied. She smiled. Not the kind that asked questions, the kind that gave space. She set the basket down beside him and began arranging flowers on the bench. "Pick one," she said. "I don't have money," Daniel replied quickly. "It's not for sale," she said. "It's for company." He hesitated, then chose a small white flower. She nodded approvingly. "Good choice. Those last the longest." They sat in silence for a moment. Then his stomach betrayed him. The growl was loud. Daniel's face burned. The woman reached into her bag and pulled out a wrapped sandwich. "I make extra," she said. "Old habit." He shook his head. "I can't." "You can," she interrupted gently, "because one day you'll help someone else." He took it, ate slowly, tried not to cry. Before leaving, she pressed something in his palm, a few folded bills. "For the road," she said. Daniel stared at her. "I'll pay you back." She smiled again. "Then you'd miss the point." He never learned her name, but he never forgot her face. Now, decades later, Daniel Mercer owned half the buildings visible from that same station. Tech empire, investments, foundations. And yet none of that prepared him for the sight of her on her knees, gathering crushed flowers. He moved without thinking. "Knees like that shouldn't be on concrete," he said softly. She looked up, startled. "I'm fine," she said quickly. "I'm just clumsy today." He crouched beside her, picking up stems carefully. "You dropped these," he said. Her hands shook. "Thank you, sir. I'll get out of your way." "No," he said firmly. "Sit, please." Something in his voice made her listen. They sat on the bench. He bought every bouquet she had left. She protested. He insisted. "You'll spoil me," she said, half smiling. "I owe you," he replied quietly. She laughed gently. "Young man, you don't even know me." Daniel swallowed. "You do," he said. "You just don't know me anymore." That was the moment the past caught up with both of them. Over tea at a nearby cafe, memories unfolded slowly. Her name was Rosa. She had sold flowers at the station for 45 years. Her husband died young. Her son moved away. Life became small, then smaller. "But I like it here," she said. "People pass through. Makes me feel part of something." Daniel listened like it was the most important meeting of his life. When he finally told her who he was, she went quiet. "You were that boy?" she whispered. He nodded. She covered her mouth. "Oh," she breathed. "You ate the whole sandwich." He laughed softly. "You saved me," he said. "You just didn't know it." Rosa shook her head. "I just shared lunch." "No," Daniel replied. "You shared hope." That night, Daniel couldn't sleep because success suddenly felt incomplete and gratitude unfinished. The next morning, Rosa arrived at the station to find her usual spot empty. A sign stood there instead. "Flower stand closed today." Panic fluttered in her chest. She turned and saw Daniel. He handed her keys. "To what?" she asked. "To the shop across the street, the one with your name on the window." She cried. Customers came. Media followed. But Rosa still showed up every morning, arranging flowers by hand. Because kindness to her had never been about reward. Months later, Daniel funded a scholarship in her name. Years later, he sat beside her hospital bed, holding her hand. "You kept your promise," she said weakly. "So did I," he replied. When Rosa passed, the station filled with flowers. Not for sale, just for remembering. And Daniel stood there, surrounded by petals, knowing one truth for certain. The greatest investments don't pay dividends. They pay them forward.